Hello, my dear young minds. How are you all? I hope you all are doing really very well. In our today's class, we are going to start our chapter number 5, and the name of this chapter is The Treasure of Lemon Brown. In this chapter, my dear student, you are going to see a true treasure that belonged to a man named as Lemon Brown. But what was that true treasure? You are going to see in this chapter further, okay? Now come with me and let's start reading the chapter. True treasures are not always material possessions, but can also be memories, experiences, and lessons passed down from one generation to the next. See, my dear student, treasury means not materialistic thing. Okay, treasury means not having gold, having a lot of money in your bank. No, real treasury means you are having a lot of memory with those person whom you love. Okay, real treasury are all those things which you like to do and you enjoy while doing it. Okay, these are called as true treasuries. Okay, what may appear insignificant to others can hold profound values and meaning in the eyes of those who understand its significance. See, my dear student, real treasury meaning, okay, is different for everyone. Okay, for example, a piece of sheet. Okay, I'm just talking about a piece of sheet. Maybe for one person it is only a piece of sheet. Okay, but for another person it is whole life. Okay, so you can see it depends upon your necessity, it depends upon your feelings, in what way you are feeling. Okay, and real treasury is also which has passed to us from our ancestors. Okay, so this is a brief introduction of this chapter. Now come with me and let's start exploring the chapter. The dark sky filled with angry, swirling clouds reflected Greg Ridley's mood as he sat on the stoop of his building. His father's voice came to him again after reading the letter the principal had sent to the house, then lecturing endlessly about his poor efforts in math. Okay, so here you can see a boy named Greg Ridley. Okay, the mood of Greg Ridley's are totally spoiled because his father was scolding him. And why his father is scolding him? Because his father received a letter from the principal in which from the principal of the school at which Greg Ridley studied. Okay, in this letter his principal told that he is weak in maths. Okay, and if he is not paying a lot of attention to the maths subject, then surely he is going to fail. Okay, and this thing made his father very angry as well as worried. That's why Greg Ridley's father is scolding him. I had to leave his school when I was 13. His father had said, that's a year younger than you are now. If I had half the chances you had, I would. See, his father started telling that when I was 1 year younger than you, I was 13. Okay, I was 30. Forcefully, I have to stop my school. I can't continue my school because there are some circumstances arose in our house, okay, which didn't favored me. Okay, that's why I have to stop my schooling. But what about Greg Riddle? Okay, but what about you, Greg Riddle? Okay, here I'm giving you every luxury of your life, but still you are performing very poor in mathematics. Greg sat in the small pale green kitchen, listening, knowing the lecture would end with his father saying he couldn't play ball with Scorpion. Okay, Greg Ridley, okay, bowing his hand, okay, in silence, listening his father scolding. Okay, and he knew, okay, Greg Ridley absolutely know that the lecture of his father will going to be stopped at this point, that he can't play with the Scorpion. Scorpion are the senior basketball team in which senior basketball team of the school in which Greg Ridley studied. He had asked his father the week before, and his father had said it depended on his next report. It wasn't often the Scorpions took a new players, especially 14 years old, and this was a chance of a lifetime for Greg. Okay, Scorpion is a team of basketball of the school in which Greg Ridley studied. Okay, and basically Scorpions didn't include any player who is below 14 years of age. Okay, but Greg Ridley was luckiest one. Okay, still he is 13 years old, still he got a chance to play in this team. But due to the letter sent by his principal, right now he can't even play with Scorpions. He had not been allowed to play high school ball, which he had really wanted to do. But playing for the community center team was the next best thing. Report cards were due in a week, and Greg had been hoping for the best. But the principal had ended the suspense early when she sent the letter saying Greg would probably fail math if he didn't spend more time studying. Okay. See, Greg already seeked the permission from his father to join the Scorpion team, okay, and he was hoping for the best. But the letter sent by his principal shattered her dreams, okay. And you want to play basketball? Father broad knitted over deep brown eyes, okay, and his father, while scolding him, asked Greg Ridley that still you want to play basketball? Here you are not performing well in mathematics, and you still want to play basketball. No, I'm not going to allow you. There must be some kind of a joke. Now you just get into your room and hit those books, okay. You must be joking. Just go back to your room and study, okay, and keep studying. You are not going to play you are not going to play with scorpions. That had been 2 nights before. His father's words hit like the distant thunder that now echoed through the streets of Harlem, still rumbled softly in his ears. Okay, all this incident happened 2 days ago. Right now, Greg Ridley crossing the streets of Harlem. Okay, but still the words of his father echoing in his head. It was beginning to cool. Gust of winds made bits of paper dance between the parked cars. There was a flash of nearby lightning, and soon very large drops of rain splashed onto his jeans. Okay, now it is the time of rainfall. Okay, when Greg Ridley was crossing the streets of Harlem, immediately at that time, large droplets of rainfall started falling. He stood to go upstairs, thought of the lecture that probably awaited him if he did anything except shut himself in his room with his maths book, and started walking down the street instead. Okay, still Greg Ridley was thinking that he can't do anything right now. Okay, but okay, because he has to got a very good marks in mathematics, and that's why he has to study very well. Okay, down the block there was an old tenement that had been abandoned for someone. Okay, so while thinking all this thing, when Greg Ridley was crossing the Harlem street, immediately at that time he stopped. Okay, he stopped. His eyes fell on a old building, okay, which is just appeared in front of his eye. And that building is looking like that someone has abandoned that building many times ago. Some of the guys had some of the guys had held an impromptu checker tournament there the weeks before, and Greg had noticed that the door once boarded over had been slightly ajar. Okay, and Greg noticed that the door of this abandoned building is still opened. Pulling his collar up as high as he could, he checked for traffic and made a dash across the street. And it right now it is a very heavy rainfall are pouring. Okay, that's why Greg Ridley decided that I'm going to take a shelter in this abandoned house. That's why by putting his collar, he started walking in the direction of that abandoned house. He reached the house just as another flash of lightning changed the night to day for an instant and returned the graffiti-scared building to the grim shadows. He vaulted over the outstairs and pushed tentatively on the door. It was open and he let himself in. Okay, and immediately at that time, a great lightning. Okay, lightning struck. Okay, and the night time is converted into daytime only for a few seconds. Okay, so Greg Ridley right now is standing in front of the door of this abandoned house. The inside of the building was dark except for the dim light that filtered through the dirty windows from the street lamp. Okay, the inside of this abandoned building is appearing as dark in color. There was a room a few feet from the door, and from where he stood in the entrance, Greg could see a squarish patch of light on the floor. Okay, so by standing at the entrance of the door, Greg Ridley immediately recognized that there is a pitch darkness. Okay, that there's everywhere pitch darkness spread out. Okay, he saw that there is a small patch of light is falling in this dark room. He entered the room frowning at the musty smell. Okay, and immediately Greg decided that he's going to take a shelter in this abandoned building. Okay, so when he entered in this building, a musty smell hit his nostrils. Squinting, it was a large room that might have been someone's parlor at one time. Squinting, could see an old table on its side against one wall, what looked like a pile of rags or a torn mattresses in the corner, and a couch with one side broken in front of the window. Okay, so just ignoring all this thing, Greg entered the house. Okay, although the smell is very bad. Okay, but that room appeared as maybe at some point of time it act as a parlor for somebody. Okay, so Greg also saw that a small table, a small old table is also resting in the place. Okay, and on that table, many bunches of newspapers are resting. Okay, but they are old in appearance. He went to the couch. The side that wasn't it broken was comfortable enough, though a little creaky. Okay, so immediately Greg sat on a couch. Couch means on a sofa. Okay, so the side of the sofa was not broken, although it was not comfortable, but it is okay to take a shelter in this abandoned building. From the spot, he could see the blinking neon sign over the bodega on the corner. Okay, and from the spot, he can see that there is a wine cellar is spread out. Wine cellar is a Spanish thing. He sat a while watching the sign blink, first green, then red, allowing his mind to drift to the scorpions, then to his father. His father had been a postal worker for all Greg's life and was proud of it, often telling Greg how hard he had worked to pass the test. Greg had heard the story too many times to be interested now. Okay, so all this thing Greg saw. Okay, and Greg immediately remembered that his father all time praising his job. Okay, and what kind of job Greg's father was doing? Greg's father was involved in the postal department. Okay, that's why all time Greg's father telling stories related to the postal department. Okay, and Greg was really bored by hearing all time the stories from his father's mouth. For a moment, Greg thought he heard something that sounded like a scraping against the wall. He listened carefully, but it was gone. So when Greg was thinking all this thing related to his father's job, immediately at that time, the chain of thought, Greg's chain of thought broken. Okay, he heard a small scratch-like sound, but when he turned back, it was lost. There's nothing. Outside, the wind had picked up, sending the rain against the window with a force that shook the glass in its frame. A car passed, its tire hissing over the wet street, and its red tail lights glowing in the darkness. Okay, so when Greg looked outside the window, he saw that a car is passing. Okay, and the light of the car is flashing. That's why this building is glowing. Greg thought he heard the noise again. His stomach tightened as he held himself still and listened intently. There wasn't any more scraping noise, but he was sure he had heard something in the darkness, something breathing. Okay, again, Greg heard that scratching sound. Okay, but he was not sure from which direction that scratching sound is coming. But he was sure that he has heard something like that someone is breathing. He tried to figure out just where the breathing was coming from. He knew it was in the room with him. Okay, and now Greg started find out from which direction he heard the breathing sound, and he was sure that somebody is present with him in this dark room. Slowly he stood tensing. Okay, and slowly Greg started standing from the couch, because Greg was sitting on the couch. As he turned, a flash of lightning lit up the room, frightening him with a sudden brilliance. He saw nothing, just the overturned table, the pile of rags, and an old newspaper on the floor. Could he have been imagining the sounds? He continued listening, but heard nothing, and thought that it might have just been rats. Still, he thought as soon as the rain let up, he would leave. He went to the window and was about to look when he heard a voice behind him. Okay, and when Greg was slowly standing from the couch, immediately at that time a lightning struck, and again in the light of this lightning, Greg can see the each corner of the room clearly. Okay, but there was no one. Okay, Greg only can see that in front of him a small table, a small old table is present, and upon that table many piles of old newspapers are bundled up, okay, and kept there. Okay, and at that time Greg thought maybe the scratching sound are coming from the rats. They are making this kind of sound. Okay, so immediately he started walking from there. Okay, but he stopped because someone has stopped him. Don't try nothing, cause I got a razor sharp enough to cut a week into 9 days. Okay, so what sound Greg heard? Greg heard that somebody is saying him, okay, you have to stop at there. Okay, because I have a razor. Okay, I have a razor with me. Okay, you can't take my treasure with you. Greg, except for an involuntary tremor in the knees, sh- stood stock still. The voice was high and brittle, like dry twigs being broken, surely not one he had ever heard before. There was a shuffling sound as the person who had been speaking moved a step closer. Greg turned, holding his breath, his eyes straining to see in the dark room. Okay, and now Greg was shaking from the fear. Okay, and when he turned back, he only can see a dark shadows standing in front of him. The upper part of the figure before him was still in darkness. The lower half was in the dim rectangle of light that fell unevenly from the window. And Greg only can see the upper portion of the figure, and half of his portion was still in darkness. Okay, there was only 2 feet. Okay, and Greg only can see there are 2 feet. Okay, means two legs only he can see. Okay, wearing a dirty shoes. Who are you? Greg hardly recognized his own voice. Okay, so out of fear, Greg asked, can you please tell me who are you? So after listening the question of Greg, immediately that person replied, I am Lemon Brown, came the answer. Who are you? So that person replied, my name is Lemon Brown. Okay, can you please tell me who are you? Greg Ridley. Okay, what are you doing here? The figure shuffled forward again and Greg took a small step backward. Okay. Now Lemon Brown asked, Greg Ridley, can you please tell me what are you doing at my home? Okay. So it's raining, Greg said. I can see that, the figure said. Okay. So Greg said, it is raining. That's why I have taken shelter at your home. So Lemon Brown said, yes, I can see that rainfall is falling down. The person who called himself Lemon Brown peered forward and Greg could see him clearly. He was an old man. Now the person who is standing in front of the Greg Ridley, who called himself as Lemon Brown, he fully appeared in front of Greg Ridley. Okay, now Greg Ridley can completely saw that brown lemon person. Okay, he was an old man. Okay, Lemon Brown was an old man. His black, heavenly, wrinkled face was surrounded by a halo of crinky white hair and whiskers that seemed to separate his head from the layers of dirty coats piled to his smallish frame. Lemon Brown was a small man. Okay, even he has a black eye. Okay, he has a black eye, and his face is full of wrinkles. His hair is white in color, and he was wearing a dirty coat. His pants were bagged to the knee, where they were met with rags that went down to the old shoes. Okay, and his pants are tugged to the knee. Okay, and one of his where they met with rags that went down to the old shoes. Okay, his pants was also in old fashion. Okay, his pants are also from old fashion. Okay, and he was wearing a old shoes. The racks were held on with string and there was a rope around his middle. Okay, and that old man Lemon Brown was carrying a rag. Rag means a small carpet. Okay, he was carrying a small carpet. Greg realized he had seen the man before, picking through the trash on the corner, pulling clothes out of a Salvation Army box. There was no sign of a razor that could cut a week into 9 days. Okay, now Greg was relaxed after seeing the person named as Lemon Brown in front of him, because Greg Ridley also seen this person few days ago. Okay, and he was taking some clothes from Salvation Army box. Okay, now Greg asked, what are you doing here? So immediately Greg asked, Lemon Brown, can you please tell me what are you doing here? This is where I am staying, Lemon Brown said. What are you here for? told you it was raining, Greg said, leaning against the back of the couch until he felt it gave slightly. And you got no home. Okay, Lemon Brown's when Greg asked, Lemon Brown, can you please tell me what are you doing here? So Brown immediately replied, here I am leave. Okay, here I am leaving. Okay, but can you please tell me, Greg Ridley, what are you doing here? So immediately Greg Ridley said, I already told you it was raining outside. That's why I have taken shelter here. I got a home, Greg answered. Okay, so immediately Greg Ridley, Lemon Brown asked, you don't have any home? Why you have come here? So it offended, this question asked by Lemon Brown offended Greg Ridley. He immediately said, I have a home. You and one of them bad boys looking for my treasure is you. Lemon Brown cocked his head to one side and squinted one eye because I told you I got me a razor. So Lemon Brown asked, I hope you are not from one of those bad boys, okay, who always bother me, okay, because they are behind my treasure and I am not going to share my treasure with anyone. I am not looking for your treasure, Greg answered, smiling, if you have one. Now, Greg Ridley said, oh, I'm really sorry to say, but I'm not behind your treasure. Only if you had real treasure. What do you mean if I have one? Lemon Brown said, every man got a treasure. You don't know that, you must be a fool. Okay. Now, Lemon Brown said, what do you mean, Greg Ridley? Okay. Are you joking me? Are you making a joke of me? Every person who is present on this planet Earth, they have their own treasure. And I am sorry to say, if you don't know this thing, then you are foolish. Sure, Greg said, as sofa and one leg over the back. What gold coins? So Greg said, sure, but can you please tell me what kind of treasure you hold? A bag full of gold coins? Don't worry, none about. Lemon Brown said, you know who I am. Okay, so Lemon Brown said, no, I don't have a bag full of gold coins because you know who I am. You told me your name was Orange or Lemon, something like that. So immediately Greg Ridley said, yes, you told me your name, maybe something Orange Brown or Lemon Brown. Okay, Lemon Brown, the old man said, pulling back to his shoulders, and he did so, they used to call me Sweet Lemon Brown. Okay, so immediately that old man said, my name is Lemon Brown. Okay, as my family used to call me Sweet Lemon Brown. So Greg asked, Sweet Lemon? Okay, so Greg immediately asked, Sweet Lemon. They used to call you Sweet Lemon. Yes, sir, Sweet Lemon Brown. They used to say I sung the blues so sweet that if I sung at a funeral, the dead would commence to rocking with the beat. Yes, they used to call me Sweet Lemon Brown because I sang blues songs. Okay, my dear student, I hope you all know blues. Okay, sang the blues so sweet. You know what is the meaning of sang the blues? Sang the blues are songs full of sadness, which specifically sang on the occasion of funeral in foreign countries. Okay. So Lemon Brown said, yes, okay, I'm a great singer of blues songs. Okay. Even by hearing my songs, maybe that person came back to life again, came back to his or her life again. Used to travel all over Mississippi and as far as Monterey, Louisiana, and east on over to Macon, Georgia. You mean you ain't never heard of Sweet Lemon Brown? Okay, see, I was such a famous singer at my time that I used to travel a lot throughout the United States. Okay, from Mississippi to Georgia, I used to travel a lot. I'm just shocked. You never heard about the Sweet Lemon Brown? Afraid not, Greg said. What happened to you? Greg immediately said, no, I don't know you. But can you please tell me what happened with you? Hard time, boy. Hard time always after a poor man. One day I got tired, sat down to rest a spell and felt a tap on my shoulders. Hard time caught up with me. Hard time, boy. Really hard time. My bad luck. Okay, my bad luck continued following me. Okay, and this hard time, this bad luck stole everything from me. Sorry about that. So Greg Ridley said, yes, okay, I'm really very sorry about your misfortune. What are you doing here? How come you don't go in home when the rain comes? Rain don't bother you young folks, none. So Lemon Brown asked to Greg Ridley, okay, you are a young man. Why rainfall is bothering you? Okay, from my point of view, rainfall don't bother such a young man. Just didn't. Greg looked away. Okay, so looking away, okay, looking at another side, Greg said, no, this is not like this. I used to have a naughty headed boy just like you. Lemon Brown had half walked, half shuffled back to the corner, sat down against the wall. Had them big eyes like you. God, I used to call them moon eyes. Look into them moon eyes and see anything you want. Okay. So Lemon Brown said, my boy, okay, my son was also just looked like you. Okay. He also have a very big eyes just like you. Okay. And I used to call my son has a blue moon eyed boy. Okay. I really love my son very much. How come you gave up singing the blues? Greg asked. So Greg diverted the topic and asked, can you please tell me why you left your job singing the blues? Didn't give it up, Lemon Brown said. You don't give up the blues, they give you up. After a while, you do good to yourself and it ain't nothing but foolishness singing about how hard you get it. And that right? Lemon Brown said, no, I didn't give up. Okay, I didn't give up on my singing. Even my singing left me. Okay, my singing left me. I guess so. So what's that noise? Lemon Brown asked, suddenly sitting upright. Greg listened and he heard a noise outside. He looked at Lemon Brown and saw the old man pointing towards the window. When Greg Ridley and Lemon Brown were talking, immediately at that time, both of them heard a loud noise coming from the downstairs. Okay, and immediately both of them looked outside the window. Greg went to the window and saw three men neighborhood thugs on the stove. Okay, and when Greg went to look outside the window, he immediately saw that there are the three thugs from their local neighborhood came. Thugs means bad person who used to threaten people to extort money and all. One was carrying a length of pipe. Greg looked back towards Lemon Brown, who moved quietly across the room to the window. And among three thugs, one was carrying a pipe. Pipe is a smoking thing, okay? Smoking, just like the cigarette, okay? So Greg looked in the direction of Lemon Brown, and he saw that Lemon Brown was quietly walking back in the room. The old man looked out, then beckoned frantically for Greg to follow him. Okay, and immediately that old Lemon Brown signaled that Greg need to follow him. For a moment, Greg couldn't move. Okay, and for a moment, Greg was frozen. Okay, he can't move his body. Then he found himself following Lemon Brown into the hallway and end of the darkened stair. Okay, and then immediately after few seconds, Greg Ridley started following Brown. Greg followed as closely as he could. Okay, there is the top of the stairs, and Greg felt Lemon Brown's hand first lying on his shoulders, then probably down his arm until he took Greg's hand into his own as they crossed in the darkness. Okay, and when both of them are going upstairs, immediately at that time, Greg felt that Lemon Brown is grabbing his hands. They are bad men, Lemon Brown whispered. So Lemon Brown said, these three thugs are really bad person. His breath was warm against Greg's snake. He was taking a warm breath. Hey, Ragman, a voice called. We know you in here. What you got up under them, Rex? You got any money? So immediately at that time, one of the person from this three thugs asked, "Hey, Ragman, okay, can you please tell me what you are trying to hide in this building?" Silence. And at that time, no one among the Greg Ridley and Lemon Brown, no one have spoken a single word. Complete silence. We don't have to come to in. We don't want to have to come in and hurt you, old man. But we don't mind if you have to. So all three thugs are saying, see, old man, we don't intend to hurt you. We don't want to hurt you. Okay. So quietly hand over all the money, all your treasure that you have. We are not going to harm you. But if you want, then no problem. We can harm you. Lemon Brown squeezed Greg's hand in his own hard. grunt fist. He was banging down his, there was a banging down stair and a light as the man entered. Okay, and immediately after listening the threatening, after listening all the threatening words from the mouth of this three thugs, immediately at that time Lemon Brown started squeezing the hands of Greg Ridley very hardly at this time, because he don't want to share his treasure with anyone. They banged around noisily, calling for the ragman. We heard you talking about your treasure. The voice was slurred. We just want to see. That's all. Okay, and immediately at that time, three thugs entered in the house of Lemon Brown. Entered in the house of Lemon Brown. Okay, and now they are asking, yes, Lemon Brown, we heard that you are talking about your treasure. Can you please share your treasure with us? You are sure he is here? One voice from the room to the sofa. Yeah, he stays here every night. Okay. Now, one man among the three thugs asked, "Are you really sure? Okay, are you 100% sure that Lemon Brown used to stay here? Because from my point of view, there is a complete silence in this house." So another thug person said, "Yes, I'm damn sure he stays here because I have seen him entering at this house every night. There's another room over there. I am going to take a look. You got that flashlight? Yeah, here, take the pipe too." Okay. So they are discussing among themselves, and one of them is saying that yes, there is another room present in this building. I'm going to check in that room. You are going to check in another room. Okay. And if you need, take this pipe with you. Greg opened his mouth to quiet the sound of his breath as he dragged it in uneasily. A beam of light hit the wall a few feet opposite him, then went out. Okay, and immediately Greg wanted to cover his mouth to stop the sound of his breathing to be heard. And nobody in that room, a voice said, "You think he's gone or something?" Okay, so one of the thugs said, "No, we can't find anyone in this room. Are you sure? Are you sure tonight he came here?" "I don't know," came the answer. "All I know is that I heard him talking about some kind of treasure. You know, they found that shopping bag lady with that load of money in her bag." So another thug said, "No, I'm not sure, but I only heard that he was talking about his treasury." "Yeah, you think he's upstairs?" So another one said, "Yes, from my point of view, Lemon Brown was present in the upstairs room." "Hey, old man, are you up there?" Silence. Okay. Now again, these thugs started asking, "Hey, you old man, can you please tell us, are you living in the upstairs rooms?" Okay. But at that time, complete silence. Not a single word came from the mouth of Lemon Brown and Greg Ridley. "Watch my back, I'm going up." There was a footstep on the stairs, and the beams from the flashlight danced crazily along the peeling wallpaper. Okay, Greg held his breath. Now you can see here, my dear students, that Lemon Brown was going to do a dare. Okay, he said to Greg, "You have to look after me because I'm going." Okay, and immediately at that time, Lemon Brown started going upstairs. Greg held his breath. There was another step and a loud crushing noise as the man banged the pipe against the wooden banister. Greg could feel his temples slowly neared him. Greg thought about the pipe, wondering what he would do when the man reached them, what he could do. Okay, and now why Greg was holding his breath? Because Greg can clearly heard that all the three thugmen are coming nearer and nearer to him. Then Lemon Brown released his hand and moved towards the top of the stairs. Okay, now Brown already released his hand. Whose hand? Greg Ridley's hand. Greg looked around and saw stairs going up to the next floor. He tried waving to Lemon Brown, hoping the old man would see him in the dim light and follow him to the next floor. Okay, now Greg Ridley wanted to give a signal to Lemon Brown that there is an upstairs. Okay, then there is an upstairs where we can safely hide. That's why he was waving his hand like this. But Lemon Brown can't see him because it was a dim light. Maybe Greg thought the man wouldn't follow them up here. And why Greg was signaling to why Greg was signaling to Lemon Brown to come at that portion of the house? Because from the point of view of Greg Ridley, maybe in that portion of the house, this sweet hug don't follow them. Suddenly, though, Lemon Brown stood at the top of the stairs, both arms raised high above his head. Okay, and immediately at that time, Lemon Brown stand up at his place. Okay, raising his both hands like this. There he is, a voice cried from below. Throw down your money, old man. I won't have to. And immediately one of the thug men saw Lemon Brown and he said, "Look, there is Lemon Brown." Another thug said, "Hey, you old man, give just give us all your money." Lemon Brown didn't move. Greg felt himself near panic. The steps came closer and still Lemon Brown didn't move. He was an airy sight. A bundle of rags standing at the top of the stairs, his shadow on the wall looming over him. Maybe the thought came to Greg, the scene could be even airier. Okay, Lemon Brown was not moving an inch from his place. Okay, and Greg, he held his breath by seeing the scene in front of his eye. Greg wet his lips, put his hand on his mouth, and tried to make a sound. Nothing came out. He swallowed hard, wet his lips once more, and hauled as evenly as he could. Okay, and Greg now started wetting his lip with his spit. And now Greg was putting his hand on his mouth because he don't want to make any kind of noise because his breath was caught. He was scared. What's that? As Greg hauled, the light moved away from the Lemon Brown, but not from the Greg. Saw him hurl his body down the stairs at the man who had come to take his treasure. There was a crashing noise and then footsteps. A rush of warm air came in as the downstairs door opened. Then there was only a ominous silence. Okay. Now see, Greg hauled. Okay, Greg hauled because that dim light which is falling in that room. Okay, which is falling in that room, it moved away from the Lemon Brown. Okay, but that light. Okay, but that light removed from the Lemon Brown, but now it is directly falling upon Greg Ridley. That's why the breath of Greg Ridley was stuck in his mouth. Greg stood on the landing. He listened, and after a while, there was another sound on the staircase. Okay, Greg was standing still. Again and again, he was hearing a lot of noise are coming. "Mr. Brown," he called. "Yeah, it's me," came the answer. "I got their flashlight." Okay, now Greg Ridley was calling, "Mr. Lemon Brown, are you there?" And immediately, Mr. Lemon Brown replied to Greg Ridley, "Yeah, here I am. I have got their flashlight." Greg exhaled in relief as Lemon Brown made his way slowly back up the stairs. "You okay?" Now Greg was relieving now. Okay, he released his breath because he now relieved now because Greg relieved now. Okay, so Mr. Lemon Brown started slowly moving in the direction of Greg and asked, "Greg, are you okay?" "Few bumps and brushes," Lemon Brown said. Lemon Brown said, "Yes, I am okay, but just having a little brushes." "I think I would better be going," Greg said, his breath returning to normal. "You would better leave too before they come back." Okay, now Greg and Lemon Brown both are successful hiding themselves. Both are successful hiding themselves from those three thugs. Okay, now immediately Greg said, "And now I'm going back to my home, and you too, Mr. Lemon Brown, you should leave this place because this place is full of danger. They may hang around for a while," Lemon Brown said, "but they aren't getting their nerve up to come here in again. Not with crazy ragman and howling spooks. But best you stay a while till the coast is clear. I am heading out west tomorrow, out to East St. Louis." Okay. So immediately Lemon Brown said, you don't have to be got scared. Okay, you don't need to be got scared because they are not going to come back. I'm damn sure. Okay, I hope from my point of view, today you should rest here, and tomorrow you need to leave for your home. And tomorrow I'm also going to St. Louis. They were talking about treasures. Greg said, "You really have a treasure?" Now Greg asked, "Mr. Lemon Brown, if you are not minding my question, I would like to ask you a question. These three thugs are talking about treasure. Are you sure? Or in reality, do you have any kind of treasure? What I tell you, didn't I tell you every man got a treasure?" Lemon Brown said, "You want to see mine?" So immediately Lemon Brown said, Greg Ridley, yes, I have a treasure. I said that I have a treasure. It means I'm telling a truth. I'm not lying. You want to see my treasure? Okay, see, now I'm going to now I am going to present my treasure in front of your eyes. If you want to show it to me, if you want to show it to me, Greg shrugged. Let's look out the window first. See what the scoundrels be doing. Lemon Brown said. They followed the oval beam of the flashlight into one of the room and looked out the window. They saw the man who had tried to take the treasure sitting on the curb near the corner. One of them had his pants leg up, looking at his knees. Okay, so Lemon Brown said, okay, okay, my young friend, I'm going to show you my treasure. But before showing my treasure, I want to see what these three thugs are doing. Okay, and immediately Lemon Brown and Greg Ridley looked outside the window, and they saw that one of the thug was holding his knee. You sure you are not hurt? Greg asked Lemon Brown. So Greg asked to Lemon Brown, Mr. Lemon Brown, are you sure you are not hurt? Nothing that and been hurt before. Lemon Brown said, when you get as old as me, all you say when something hurt is, howdy, Mr. Payne sees you back again. Then when Mr. Payne see he can't worry you none. He go on mess with somebody else. No, I'm absolutely fine. Okay, nothing is wrong with me. When you came in my age, you are also not going to feel any kind of pain. This is life. Greg smiled. Okay, now Greg started smiling. Here you hold this. Lemon Brown gave the Greg the flashlight. Okay, so Lemon Brown gave the flashlight in the hands of Greg Ridley. He sat on the floor near Greg and carefully untied the strings that held the racks on his right leg. When he took the racks away, Greg saw a piece of plastic. The old man carefully took off the plastic and unfolded it. He revealed some yellowed newspaper clippings and battered harmonica. Now Lemon Brown sat on the floor, okay, and he handed all the old bundle of newspapers to Greg Ridley. Greg saw that there are so many pieces of old newspaper, and the color of those old newspapers are in yellow in color, and some are presented in front of them in the form of clippings. There it be, he said, nodding his head. There it be. Greg looked at the old man, saw the distant look in his eye, then turned to the clipping. Okay, now Mr. Lemon said, this is my treasure, Greg. You want to look it? Have a look. So Greg saw that there is a feeling, okay, that is a hollowness in the eye of Mr. Lemon Brown. They told of Sweet Lemon Brown, a bluish singer and harmonica player who was appearing at different theaters in the South. Now, those paper clippings, those newspaper are all belong to a particular person who belongs to a period of a time, who used to sing a lot of blues songs and harmonica, okay, and a harmonica at different theaters in the South of America. One of the clippings said he had been the hit of the show, although not the headliners. All of the clippings were reviews of shows in more than 50 years ago. Greg looked at the harmonica. It was dented badly on one side with the reed holes on one end nearly closed. All the clippings belong to Lemon Brown because in his young days, Lemon Brown was a very good blues singer, okay, for over 50 years of time. I used to travel around and make money to feed my wife and Jesse. That's my boy's name. Okay, now Mr. Lemon Brown is saying that when I was young, I used to travel a lot, okay, and by performing in this shows, I earn a money, okay, and I used that money to fill the stomach of my wife and Jesse. Jesse, yes, the name of my son was Jesse. Used to feed them good too. Then his mama died and he stayed with his mama's sister. He grew up to a man, and when the war came, he saw fit to go off and fight in it. I didn't have anything to give him except these things that told him who I was and what he came from. If you know your puppy did something, you know you can do something too. Okay, so when Jesse was very young, his mother passed out. Okay, and after passing off his mother, he used to live with his aunt. Okay, and during at that time a war was started in America, and my son Jesse was found fit for fighting the war. So when he was preparing to going so when he was preparing to go to go and participate in the war, I have no one. Okay, I have nothing to offer him. And at that time, all these paper clippings and all those old newspapers I handed him. Okay, and I told him, this is the only treasure I have in my life. If you really want to see that what your father has done in his life, then you can have a look on it. Anyway, he went off to the war, and I went off still playing and singing. And after that, my son go back to attend the war, and I came back again in my singing profession. Course, by then I wasn't as much as I used to be, not without somebody to make it over the while. You know what I mean? Yeah, Greg nodded, not quite really knowing. I traveled around, and one day I came home and there was this letter saying Jesse got killed in the war. Broke my heart, it truly did. Okay, now Mr. Brown asked, Greg, are you really listening my story? Are you able to understand what I'm trying to tell you? So Greg said, yes, I'm understanding. But although Greg was not fully understanding, why Mr. Lemon Brown was so full of hollowness? Because Mr. Brown said, I used to travel a lot. Okay. And when I came back after ending my concert, I got a news that my son Jesse was killed in the war. And after hearing the news of death of my son, my heart was broken. They sent back what he had with him over there and what it was in this old mouth fiddle and this clipping. Okay. Now, now the American government was sending back the things belonging to the soldiers who got killed in the war to their relatives. Okay, and when I got the when I got the things, when I got the things of the Jesse, I got this old newspapers, bunches of it. He carrying it around with him like that told me it meant something to him. Okay, my son was carrying all my achievements with him like he was carrying a gold with him. That was my treasure, and when I gave it to him, he treated it just like that a treasure. And that's something. My son Jesse was really treating this bundle of rugged paper like a treasure. Okay, because I was also treating this as a treasure, and my son was also treating him in the same way. Yeah, I guess so, Greg said. You guess so. Lemon Brown voice rose an octave as he started to put his treasure back into the plastic. Now Greg said, okay, I am understanding. So Lemon Brown said, are you really, are you understanding or are you only guessing? And after saying this, now Lemon Brown was started putting back all the treasure in his plastic bag. Well, you got to guess, cause you sure you don't know anything, don't know enough to get home when it's raining. I guess, I mean, you are right. Okay, now Lemon Brown is saying, I know you are not understanding my point of view. So at that time, Greg Ridley said, no, you are wrong. I'm guessing you are right. You okay for the youngster, the old man said, as he tied the strings around his leg. Okay, the old man is saying, are you okay? You a youngster boy. Better than those scalawag that came here looking for my treasure, that's for sure. Okay, so old man, the Lemon Brown is saying, are you okay, youngster? Because you are different from those three thugs. Okay, because those three thugs are also youngster, but they are trying to steal my treasury from me, but you are protecting my treasury just like my son. You really think that treasure of yours are worth fighting for? Greg asked against a pipe. So Greg asked to Lemon Brown, are you sure that you are doing a right thing? Because you are fighting with the thugs for a piece of paper. What else a man caught accepting what he can pass on to his son or his daughter if she be his oldest. Lemon Brown said, for a big-headed boy, you sure do ask the fooliest question. Okay, now Lemon Brown was saying, see, I only have this treasure, that's why I have passed this to my son. Tell me, Greg Ridley, if you have a bigger son or daughter, what you are going to pass to them? Lemon Brown got up from patting his rag in peace and looked out the window again. And after asking this question, Lemon Brown just packed all of his things and started looking outside the window. Looks like they are gone. You get on out of here and got yourself home. I will be watching from the window, so you will be all right. Okay. And when Lemon Brown was looking outside the window, he immediately tell to Greg Ridley that I hope those three thugs are gone. You can go to your home now. This street is now free from danger. Lemon Brown went down the stairs behind Greg. When they reached the front door and the old man looked out first, saw the street was clear and told Greg to scoot on home. You sure you will be okay? Greg asked. Okay. Now Lemon Brown signaled that street is clear, you can go home. Greg immediately asked, Mr. Lemon Brown, are you sure? Are you okay? No, I didn't. Now didn't I tell you I was going to East St. Louis in the morning? Lemon Brown asked. Don't that sound okay to me? Yes, absolutely, I'm fine. I told you right now that tomorrow morning I was going to the east of St. Louis. Isn't it sounding that I'm okay? Then why you are asking this question to me? Sure it does, Greg said. Sure it does. And you take care of that treasure of yours. So immediately Greg said, yes, it appeared that you are okay, okay? And with you, don't forget to carry your treasure. That I will do, Lemon asked. Lemon, this I suggest will do. Lemon said, yes, my young boy, yes, I'm carrying this treasure with me. The night had warmed and the rain had stopped, leaving puddles at the curbs. Greg didn't want to think how late it was. He thought ahead of what his father would say and wondered if he should tell him about Lemon Brown. He thought about it until he reached his stoop and decided against it. Lemon Brown would be okay. Greg thought with his memory and his treasure. Greg pushed the button over the bell marked Reedley, thought of the lecture he knew his father would give him and smiled. Okay. And the night, now rainfall is stopped. The night was very calm. Okay. It was soothing the mind of Greg Reedley. And while coming back to his home, he was continuously thinking, should I tell the story of Lemon Brown to my father? Maybe he again started scolding me that why I'm not completing my maths lesson and why I am wandering in some abandoned building and all etc. Okay, and after thinking all this thing, Greg Reedley have a smile on his face. Okay, so this is all in this chapter, my dear student. This chapter is written by Walter Dean Myers. Now come with me and let's see the word meanings which we have seen in this chapter. Impromptu means done without preparation, spontaneous. Impromptu means you do something without any preparation on the spot. Knitted, formed by interlocking loops of yarn with needle. Knitted means sweater. Okay, when your mother carved sweater, okay, it means knitting. Tremor, a slight quivering or shaking movement. Tremor means slight movement. Airy, strange or frightening, over suggesting something unnatural or ghostly. Airy means something horrible situation is arising. Scoundrels, dishonest or immoral people, rascal. Scoundrel means dishonest persons. Gnarled, knotted, twisted or rugged in an appealing or intriguing way. Beckoned, made a gesture with the hand, arm or head to encourage someone to come closer or follow. Beckoned means you are signaling to someone to come here. Clipping, piece of articles, pictures or information cut or trimmed from a larger source. Clipping means when you cut a piece of news from a newspaper, that is called as clipping. Ominous, giving the impression that something bad or unpleasant is going to happen, threatening. Ominous means you are getting a signal that something is going to happen bad with you. Treasure, a quantity of precious metals, gems or other valuable objects, a highly valued possession or resources. Treasure means you are having a precious collections of metals and jewelries. Okay, so this is all in this chapter, my dear student. I hope you all got a very good understanding of this chapter. Now what you have to do, my dear student, you just have to go thoroughly through this chapter, revise this chapter and complete all the exercise based on this chapter. Now I'm taking leave and going to meet with you all in our next class with a new chapter. Till then, my dear students, you have to take very good care of yourself. Bye.